You may not have realized it, but healers are getting more and more powerful by the second. It's a great time to play heals, but maybe not such a good time for Overwatch's current state of the meta. Today we're going to be talking about why healers are Overwatch's biggest problem. My name is Nathan, and welcome to Blizzard Guides. There's a lot to go over here for the supports in the game, so I want to get into this quickly. But before I do, I just would like to say that I am making this video because I want to bring light to the issue. I'm trying my best to just inform you guys with a bit of my thoughts thrown in there, but know that I'm making this just to use my platform that I am given to provide my perspective on this current meta. It is no secret that a lot of content creators have been uneasy about this meta, myself included. I've definitely seen a lot of improvements with the LFG system and the endorsement system, but I want to see the game improve more. So that's why I'm bringing you this discussion on the current state of the healers in the game and why they might be a problem. So with all of that out of the way, let's get into the 5 reasons why. At number 5, the extra value that supports can provide. First off, some background. Supports in Overwatch weren't originally just healers. During the first few months of the game, support simply just meant a hero that output extra value for the team in the form of positioning advantage, overbuffs, healing, and debuffs to the enemy. Hence why Symmetra was originally included in the support category and why heroes like Torbjorn could be run in the off support slot. Because of this, Lucio and Zenyatta, both supports with low healing output, had a lot of extra value in the form of speed boost and discord respectively. The supports were intended to do some healing and some extra value, leading to one side or the other. Mercy was mostly healing, with old res showing some value, and Zenyatta was very low heals but showed a lot of value from discord. However, now that the only non-healing support has been moved to the damage category, and the fact that the other supports have received buffs that either directly or indirectly increase their healing output, we're seeing overbuffing occurring. Heroes like Zenyatta, Lucio, Brigitta, and Mercy have had either their healing output or their extra value output increased, but their counterpart not nerfed. Mercy's Resurrect received a buff, and then her extra sustain buffed in the form of Valkyrie. Lucio saw net buffs overall with his rework. Brigitta's introduction gave us a hero with both high extra value in the form of stun and high healing in the form of rally, and Zenyatta received buffs in his Transcendence with no meaningful nerfs in terms of either side across all healers. This is the beginning of a large host of issues with the balance of supports in the game, which only gets worse and more difficult to deal with the further into the issue that we go. Next up at number 4, I want to illustrate the insane raw healing that these heroes provide, extra value ignored. Mercy, Brigitta, Moira, and Zen all just do way too much healing. Whether it be through their sustainability or their ultimates, they all do far too much healing. Let's take Mercy for example. Even if you removed her ability to resurrect, Mercy would still have a place in the meta. There's nothing stopping her from healing and maintaining the survivability that she has just because she doesn't have res anymore. Zenyatta's is another good example. With the crazy damage that he provides, the inclusion of the best defensive ult in the game to his kit makes him output huge burst heals in moments where it is most needed. That's why we've seen so much of him in the meta. His healing from ult is just crazy good. And of course Brigitta. The discussion around Brigitta's armor has already been explained again and again. She just provides so much armor and peel for her team that she can shut down several enemy archetypes at once through just her sheer heals. And lastly, while Moira hasn't seen much use in the meta, her group healing is still something that has to be very carefully tuned. If the other healers in the game weren't so powerful, she would arguably be erring more to the side of too powerful in terms of healing. There's a fundamental issue with the amount of healing that these heroes output for one simple reason: skill floors. Coming in at number 3, I want to talk about the skill floor required to play heals. For those of you who do not know what skill floor means, it's just pretty simple. Skill floor simply describes how much skill it takes to actually start putting in work on a specific character in any game. It's not to be mixed up with skill ceiling, which describes how much skill it takes until you can't get any better with the hero. An example of high skill floors would be a hero like Tracer, Doomfist, Genji, and Widowmaker. These heroes require a lot of mechanical skill and positioning knowledge, as well as a lot of game sense to prove any effectiveness at all. On the contrary, heroes like Diva, Lucio, Mercy, Brig, and Moira all have very low skill floors, meaning it doesn't take that much skill to start putting in work that is necessary on those heroes. Now, as you may have noticed either just now or previously, it doesn't really take all that much skill to start putting in work as a support. I am not saying that people who play support aren't good players. You can certainly have a very high mastery of a support and be more skilled than DPS players who have met the skill floor requirements on their hero, but rather what I'm saying is is that to play support at a basic level, it just doesn't require as much skill at all. And while this isn't the actual problem itself, when you have supports that have sustainability and healing output that exists now, with a skill floor that is so low that anybody can put in enough work to make a difference, the people who have an intermediate level of mastery on a support just put out way too much healing. This at the surface level doesn't seem like a big issue, but I'll explain why it is. And number 2, counterbalancing. I'm not talking about balancing counters to any one hero specifically, but rather I'm talking about the retaliation balancing that we've been seeing cropping up more and more in Overwatch. Basically, what I've noticed, and many others have as well, is that when we see a specific hero get buffed a bit too much, rather than reining that hero in quickly, we see other heroes get buffed a bit more to match the level of buffs that were given to the original hero that was buffed, and we just end up seeing a meta involving a bunch of heroes that are all just a bit too powerful. Now, one could argue that this isn't a problem. When everyone's super, no one will be. Now, that definitely does seem like good logic, but it really isn't when you break it down. If you played any Total Mayhem in the arcade, you've probably seen a glimpse of this. All the heroes are very powerful and all buff somewhat equally, but we still see a huge imbalance in the team fights. The reason being, if you buff all of the heroes in the game, some heroes react a bit differently to the buffs. We've all seen the stun meta crop up exactly because of this. All of the heals in the game got overbuffed, and thus all of the counters to strong heals became stronger, and out came the stun meta. Because if you can't kill something that's being pocket healed, just pull them away from the heals and stun them before they can do anything. Counterbalancing is becoming a huge issue for the game. We're seeing heroes that aren't in the meta being buffed into the meta, when in reality the hero that was just buffed didn't need buffs because the hero itself was underpowered, but because the hero's counters are too powerful. Ana isn't in the meta precisely because of that. Her counterparts do much more healing and much more output at a basic level, and when their skill ceilings are hit on Ana as opposed to another main healer, the other main healer still does more for the team than the Ana that has a maximized skill ceiling. Ana doesn't need any buffs, but rather the other healers in the game need to be reined in, either through indirect buffs and nerfs or a direct nerf to the specific hero that needs to be reined in. And lastly, at number 1, player mentality. This is a bit more of an abstract concept, but an important one nonetheless. Basically, there's going to be a big problem with getting the healers reined in. A lot of players have grown accustomed to the get out of jail free card that is a support. Any player can pick up any role now because mistakes go unpunished, and bad mechanics are shrouded by insane pocket healing. If you have a bunch of players who play a season after season after season making dumb mistakes and having those mistakes go unnoticed, you get a bunch of players who don't understand their roles, performing adequately because of the crazy pocket heals that exist in the game. And I'm not even saying that I'm not a part of that. I've noticed that I become more and more reliant on heals and am making very poor decisions that should 100% have gone punished in game, but am still making huge plays right after making said mistake. Then there's also the problem of which audience to cater towards. If you have these get out of jail free heals in the game, the casual players of Overwatch can easily pick up certain roles and thus find certain aspects of the game more enjoyable. On the flip side, however, the content creators at the top tiers of the game find the game more boring or unenjoyable, leading to a large amount of community members and creators walking away from the game for either short periods of time or for good. And it's not an easy issue, and it's not going to be solved in a day, but at least identifying the source of the issue is an important step to take, and realizing that supports in the game are becoming a large issue is crucial. So that's just my take on the issue. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below, and let me know if you agree or disagree. This is just the way that I see things, but if you have a different way of looking at it, your perspective matters just as much as mine, so please start a discussion down below. It can only be healthy for the community if you keep it civil. If you thought this video was insightful and you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like to let us know so that I can keep making videos that you guys would like to see. And if you want to see more content just like this, consider getting subscribed and hitting the bell icon so that you can get notified for future uploads. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Have a nice day. My name is Nathan, and this was Blizzard Guides.